fingerprints that you're going to see are the fingerprints of showing several things. Number one, and I'm going to take you back in history a little bit as to why this is so important. But the whole idea of this profession, and I will always use that term for its profession, is that you need to bring people to it that are committed to it as a profession. Going back to the beginning of Act 195, these professionals in this room, maybe not these, some of the old ones, were all part of one big bargaining unit, represented by a very large public employee union that promised not to give up Massey's name. But for 30 years, they were part of this big bargaining unit. And I have respect for all working people and labor organizations and even a few management organizations, but being a part of one large organization never gave them a chance, never gave them a chance. And unlike the Marine Corps and the Rangers, where you don't leave anybody behind, law enforcement left them behind. They were left behind. And simply because they were part of more of a civilian organization that didn't look out for their interests. So they fought hard, and fought through the courts, and fought through elections, and fought and fought and fought, and they became the PSCOA 10 years ago. So finally, maybe they're not behind. Finally, they're going to get somewhere. And the timing of when they got certified put them in a position where they weren't able to negotiate, or they weren't able to arbitrate a contract. So AFSCME had already negotiated a master agreement, and they signed on just because of timing. Finally, they get their chance. It's now happened. That contract expires, and now they're going to stand up as COs and say, here we are, the forgotten men and women of law enforcement. Finally, fix our problems. Fix what's happened to us in the past. Fix the fact that we were treated as civilian guards, not the law enforcement professionals that we are. Fix this for us. And their legal representative at that time, unfortunately, maybe not being familiar with the Act 195 time limits, missed the time limit for arbitration. So they ended up with a totally 0 year. No improvements of any kind, and in fact, to make matters worse, deficits in that they did not achieve a pay step, and they had changes done to their record. They've never recovered from that moment. Despite their efforts, they've never recovered from it. And my purpose here today, and I guess the final part of what I'm here to say to you is this. This is a different kind of arbitration, I think, than that many of you have seen before. In that, first and foremost, you're going to see the people that have been called upon to do this job. There's a lot of difficult, dangerous, nasty jobs in this world. And if anybody put a sign up saying, here's a difficult, dirty, nasty job, there probably would be a line around the block of people applying for it. And in fact, you see that television show, Nasty Jobs. However, the point here is that this is not just a job that we, as citizens of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, can afford to have just somebody walk up and apply. Because if this job is not done right, from what I've seen and what you're going to see, very bad things have happened and will happen unless the right professionals are brought in. And the final part of what I'm about to say is, for the first time, once you see who they are, and once you hear what's happened to them, and once you hear how law enforcement unfortunately left them behind, what is being asked for today, and you will see, is not, here's a big basket, fill it up, times are good. We recognize what times are right now. But we also recognize this, and we hope that you do as well. they have been left behind. They have been hurt by inappropriate actions done on their behalf. They've had to struggle to be able to be their own union and come forward with their own proposals. And what they're asking you to do is just put them where they belong, just put them where they appropriately belong, and fix the harm that has been done to them, not through their own actions, but simply because of the fact that maybe people that didn't care so much were not there for them. So now you're going to be dealing, like I said, not with me, but with some really good people that care deeply and will show you why things have happened to them, why their shift differential has melted away, why they've been harmed terribly in medical, why they are not on pay steps where they belong. They will explain all of this to you along with showing you who they are, what they are, and what they do. And my sincere hope is that finally, just as they are part of the justice system, they will have justice done to them. I thank you for this opportunity and for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Levin.
Thank you, Gary. Just to give the panel and the Commonwealth attorneys and the members that are watching here an idea of how we're going to proceed over the next 5 days, we have put together a PowerPoint that is going to basically be the roadmap for these proceedings. Intertwined in the PowerPoint, we will have testimony. As you already see on the tables, there is a lot of documentary evidence. We also have some photographs and video presentations to give this panel a good idea of what a CO does and what the other staff members of the H-1 unit does on a regular basis. So we have printed out the PowerPoint. We present to you on a daily basis the PowerPoint. But again, that provides you with a roadmap with how we're going to proceed for the next 5 days during our presentation. We do appreciate your time. This is going to be a lengthy presentation. It has to be a lengthy presentation. These are issues that we are going to put in front of the panel are important to the H-1 members. They're important to me. They're important to everybody that's working on this case. So we do thank you ahead of time for your time and consideration. I think it's important at this point to understand what the mission statement of the Pennsylvania State Corrections Officers Association is. The mission of the association is to promote and improve the corrections profession, to ensure that our members are treated fairly, with respect and dignity, ensuring the welfare of those employed in the corrections who unselfishly protect and serve the citizens of the Commonwealth. Over the next 5 days, I'd like to introduce to you the presenters at this time. We have the pleasure of Attorney Sean Welby acting as our arbitrator. I will be the main attorney for PSCOA. Christopher Cook, to my left, will also be an attorney involved in the case. And Ian Glenn from Leighton Wilson Stoltenberg will also be involved in the case. He's not here today. I'd like to introduce you to the executive officers of the PSCOA. President Roy Pinto. Executive Vice President Tim Walsh. Western Vice President Jason Bloom. Eastern Vice President Robert Storm. John Chernavich, Secretary Treasurer. That is a listing of the various business agents that we have working on a day-to-day basis for the H-1 members across the state. And this is going to be a list of the witnesses that testify. As Mr. Lightman already mentioned, it's the people of this Commonwealth, the correctional officers and the H-1 staff that are important to PSCOA, that are important to the Commonwealth, important to corrections. So we will, hopefully, by the end of the 5 days, give this panel a good idea of what an H-1 member faces on a day-to-day basis. As you can see from the list, we have training academy instructors coming in, and we have other H-1 member employees going to testify from throughout the Commonwealth and throughout the different classifications in the H-1 unit. At this point in time, I'd like to call our first witness, President Roy Pinto.